when women get pregnant, they're in a state of, I want to say they're high from the minute they get pregnant to the minute they give birth. Constantly. For 9 months, your dopamine levels are off the roof.
Yeah.
When your parents tell you we love you equally, it's just
Cap.
that you don't feel bad, but it's cap. It's cap. Because, and kids can see it. And I think this is where sibling rivalry truly honestly stems from. Because I'm like, I love the both of you, but you're at such different stages of life. And when we're young, the different stages of life are apparent. One is walking, one is not. One is talking, one is not. One is eating solid foods, one is not. Like the line is so, like it's such a thick line that you can cut through with a pair of scissors.
Yes, we been kumbaya for the Lord we praise. Ooh la la, it's a brand new day. If a hater come, we are let him stay. If a demon come for the boom.
Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Just to Kick It is a Blessing podcast. Welcome to the podcast where it's all about time, where we teach, inspire, motivate, and entertain through the art of storytelling. Today is another special episode, and I have a special guest in studio with me. Today's episode will be a bit different. I'm used to letting the guests introduce themselves, but this young lady came with some demands and asked me to do a little bit of an introduction for her. So I'll introduce her a little bit, and then I'll let her introduce herself as well in case I miss anything. But I just want you guys today to welcome Njoki Munene. A lot of you also know as Sandra Munene or Sandra Njoki Munene. And for me, as of now, I only know Sandra as maybe 4 or 5 things. The first one is she's a digital marketer. She's a consultant. She's full of adventure, a lot of adventure. And lastly is she's a mother. And I think that's the one that she's most proud of. But I'll let her say a few things about herself before we jump into the episode.
Oh, that was done so brilliantly.
Thank you.
I actually have nothing else to add.
Are you sure? There must be like a few things you have to say.
I will say that, yes, I am most proud of what I created.
Wow.
Because at least that's something I had no control of, but came from me. So that's exciting. And I actually appreciate the fact that you started with all the things that I am as an individual before saying that I am a mother. So thank you. But let me see, what else should I add about myself? I'm bubbly. I'm always 90% of the time happy. Yeah. I think you know that. Mm-hmm. And I'm just a lover of life.
Yeah.
And a lover of experiences. So I'm looking forward to today. Yeah.
Maybe even before we jump into the episode and everything.
Yeah.
There's another thing I mentioned before I said that you're a mother. I said you're someone that's full of adventure.
Yeah.
Maybe you could explain to them why you feel like I said that.
Because I've climbed Kilimanjaro.
Yeah.
I've summited Kilimanjaro, and I would say that is one of the most amazing things I've ever done in my life. I can't even begin to describe the feeling of summiting. I keep on saying that, and I'll send you a picture and you can put it up. Mm-hmm. On the last day of summiting, it looked like Marshall Land. Like we were in Mars, and it was red, fiery red. Like the sunrise was so beautiful, Tupac. I remember, it's so funny that I climbed Kilimanjaro because that year I was going through depression. Wow. And one of the things that I really got into was things that people shouldn't be getting into, psychedelics. And I remember doing it. Am I allowed to talk about this on the podcast?
Yeah.
Okay, I remember doing this at Arboretum, and I was with a group of friends back then. And on the day we went, there was what are these diggers called that dig boreholes? So one was at Arboretum. Yeah. So it was like drilling through the ground, and I just remember saying, I can feel the earth crying. I was looking at guys, and I was just like, the earth is bleeding. It needs me to help it. Yeah. It needs me to help it. And after that, I went into farming. Yeah. And then after that, after farming for a year, I climbed Kilimanjaro. Wow. And the period of when we climbed it, there had just been that huge fire that swept through hectares of Kilimanjaro. And that's one of the routes that we passed.
Yeah.
And I remember when we got there, I looked at my mom and I swear to God, I think she thought I was crazy. I think she thought that the spirits of the mountain had descended upon me. And I was like, Mom, can you see the fire? Because it was burnt and it was ashy. And she was like, yeah, it was really bad. I was like, the world is crying.
Yeah.
It needs me to save it.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, we summited. It was beautiful. We skied down the mountain. That was really cool. But yeah, I am an adventurer. And I want to see if I can go to the base camp of Everest.
Yeah.
Not to the top, just
Yeah.
to the base camp because it's higher than Kilimanjaro, maybe swim with the sharks, do a little like of these oddities, odd adventures.
Yeah.
Just see where life leads from there.
Swim with the sharks, that's a bit crazy.
I know, right? But at least it'll be in Africa. Just go down to South Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me, even like this thing of coming outside your comfort zone has
Yeah.
really taught me a lot about life. I was so scared of heights, and then I ended up doing zip lining, which was crazy.
Yeah.
And I keep on telling my dad, like, one of the other things I want to do is
Yeah.
probably skydive.
Oh,
I
you
know
would
it's going
love
to be
it.
crazy as hell, but then the experience, the adrenaline, and everything I got from zip lining,
Yeah.
I was like, I wonder how skydiving would be, you know?
I think it's a mix between adrenaline when you leave the plane
Yeah.
and peace
Yeah.
when the parachute opens.
Yeah.
It's just so peaceful to park.
You've done skydiving?
No,
Yeah.
I haven't. But my mom described it to me.
Oh, she did it?
She did it. She did it, and she did it recently. So in her 50s,
Yeah.
and today is her birthday actually. So
Happy birthday to her.
thank you. So it's one of those things where she was just like, it was the most peace she's ever felt in her life. It's just quiet, beautiful skylines. I think you'd enjoy it actually.
No, I have to. In fact, even the other day, I had a conversation with Adventures by Seeing, and he was telling me that was probably one of the best decisions he ever made, was to go skydiving.
Yeah, sorry.
He's like, at first you don't realize you're just on a plane, you're thinking it's a normal flight, and then now it becomes, oh my God, I'm about to jump out the plane, and then now you jump and you're like, oh shit, and then now the parachute, and it becomes so peaceful. Yeah. But it's interesting how you've already said, within I think a minute or two, you said, my mother.
Yeah.
And you're here to talk about motherhood.
Yes.
So how many children do you have, and how's your birthing experience?
I have 2 children.
Yes.
I have a boy and a girl.
Wow.
Super protective of my daughter. I don't know why. I'm just like, every time I feel like posting a picture of her, I'm just like, who's gonna take a screenshot and share it?
Yeah.
Because that happens today, right?
Yeah.
So I have a boy and a girl, a 2-year-old
Yeah.
and a 7-month-old.
Yeah.
And I'm enjoying motherhood. My birthing experiences were wild.
Yeah.
They are wild. Like, I remember for my son, I was in bed and I decided, and we just come out from doing a barbecue with my dad, and we had danced. The guys had drunk, and at the time, please, actually, I should have said the disclaimer at the beginning. But whatever I say, do not take this as the gospel truth. Kindly consult with a professional.
Yes.
This is my story and my wisdom. You may pick at the wisdom, but this is just my story. So throughout my pregnancy with my son, I'd have a glass of wine or 2 every week, just as a standard. And I remember on the day I went, like my water broke.
Yeah.
We were at my dad's and we were having this big barbecue and we were eating and guys were drinking and we were just having fun. We were dancing. I was dancing. And then we go home and I'm sitting down on the bed. Actually, I was laying down on the bed.
Yeah.
And I decided, I wonder whether I can actually induce labor. And so I go online on YouTube and I wrote how to induce labor. And there's this white chick who had the most insane positions that would induce labor. And I was like, what's the worst that could happen? I mean, these things that like, how many people have told you, oh, do this, drink rooibos tea, have, if you want a smooth delivery, like drink castor oil, you know? So in my head, I was like, it might not even work. Anyway, I decided to try one of these odd. I think my legs were on the bed, my head was on the floor, on my arms. And literally, at that moment, as soon as I got to the position, I just had... I've never laughed so hysterically in my life.
Yeah.
I walked out of the room, and as soon as I stepped out of the bed, it just like whoosh.
Yeah.
Like in the movies. Yo, I was like, so movies don't lie?
Yeah.
They lie, but they don't lie.
Yes.
Some like it's not a continuous, like your water doesn't break once and then like the baby starts coming.
Yeah.
It actually breaks in phases. And even when you go to hospital, they still have to like continue removing the water.
Yeah.
So I remember going to my partner, and at this point in time, he's so lit because him and my dad, they opened a new bottle of ram or gin or whatever it is they were drinking, and they decided since it was celebratory. So they finished it. So when I went to the sitting room, he was watching TV, and I was laughing. Tupac. I was laughing. I was like, oh my gosh. So he thought I had seen a funny joke because I couldn't even talk.
Yeah.
I could not talk. And I was just like, my water broke.
Yeah.
Like I was whispering, I was like, my water broke. And he was like, what? Like, my water broke. He's like, huh? Like, my water has broken.
Yeah.
And then we went into this whole frenzy. And I remember at some point, none of our phones were charged. And I was like, look, the baby is not about to come. Let's just take 1 hour. Remember, my water is broken. I'm supposed to be rushing to hospital. It's like, let's take 1 to 2 hours to charge our phones, see. I swear. At that time is when I started nesting. So nesting is basically like when you're pregnant and you start preparing the room for the baby. So that's getting the clothes, putting the beds, doing all these things. I had never nested, ever, in 9 months. In those 2 hours, I went to remove the baby's clothes. I washed the dishes. I cleaned the house. I was like, my partner was just like, what the heck are you doing? I'm like, I'm getting the house ready for the baby. It's like the baby is going to fall on this floor if you do not enter the car and we go to hospital. Anyway, long story short, yeah. In a nutshell. And then for my daughter, it was a bit simpler. Felt what I thought was contractions. Was not actually contractions, it was false contractions, and then went to hospital, and now they're here today. In a nutshell. Nothing too dramatic about her story.
That's crazy, though.
Yeah.
Like, I'm even just trying to picture what the hell was going through your head. Me, I'd be thinking, go to the hospital, not start running around the house, charge my phone and do other things.
Boy, I was just like, and you know what is so funny?
Yeah.
So fortunately for me, I don't get labor pains, which is not, I don't say it's a normal thing because labor is painful. But when I went to the hospital for my son's delivery, even then I entered the hospital. I was like, "Hi guys, hi doctor, how are you doing?" And guys are looking at me like, "It's supposed to be asking you, how are you?" And I'm just like, "I'm so good, I'm fine, I'm okay, I'm all right."
You sure you're not in the psychedelic still?
I mean, I was in psychedelic state, but funny enough that funny enough you mentioned, when women get pregnant, they're in a state of, I want to say they're high from the minute they get pregnant to the minute they give birth. Constantly. For 9 months, your dopamine levels are off the roof.
Yeah.
So it's like you've taken so many pills of ecstasy.
Yeah.
And the reason that happens is because human beings can't fathom the thought of growing something in our body because it's an alien thing, right?
Yeah.
So to combat that, the brain actually makes you so high that you think it's a normal thing. Yeah.
So how the earlier years of motherhood been for you? And what was that transition like for you,
Well, Tupac, if I'm being honest, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
My personality is bubbly, energetic. I want to be here, I want to be there, I want to do this, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And because I can't find that in adults, when I got kids, I just poured all that energy into them. So when I entered, like, we have screaming competitions in the house. If I come out of the bedroom and the house is quiet, I'm just like, this house is too quiet. And I'll tell my partner, I'm like, the house is too quiet.
Yeah.
Where's everybody? Oh, the kids are asleep. I'm like, no, I can hear them in the rooms. And I'll come out of that room, like, making noise. I'm like, good morning, everybody. So much so that now when I don't do it, the nanny is even like, are you okay? Is everything okay?
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the fact that I can spend all this energy that I have with kids, and not just any kids, my kids, and just see them grow. And I think for me, the transition from being single into relationship, into motherhood is something that I've always really looked forward to. And I'm fortunate to have the type of partner I have because we are best friends before anything.
Yeah.
Before we even love each other, before we are really, really good friends. So it helps even when bringing them up because he can deal with my energy. And whenever he sees like I'm getting shaky because he knows I'm about to, do some crazy stuff. He's just like, the kids are in their bedroom, you can go and join them. And I'm like, okay. And I take their toys and I'm like, guys, let's try balance these things. And so it's been fun. And the transition for me has been quite all right. I don't think there's a moment where I've sat down and I'm like, oh, motherhood has made me change who I am. Oh, because of motherhood, I haven't been able to do the things that I wanted to do. Never once have I felt that because of motherhood, I'm not able to travel. I'm not able to excel at my career. I'm not able to go to school because that's something I've started doing. So motherhood has not hindered anything that I would say has been monumental in my life. No, my career is still growing. I'm still going on adventures. I just take them with me. It only changed in terms of how much planning I have to do, but nothing else. And so for me, it's been honestly really fun. Yeah, very fun.
When you look at it, what do you think is your biggest surprise around motherhood?
I think the most surprising thing about being a parent, especially with 2 children, is navigating love.
Okay.
Tupac, it is hard. Yeah. It is not possible to love your children equally.
Yes.
It is just the hardest thing you can do, whether it's twins, whether it's quadruplets, whether it's octuplets, whether it's singles, born different years, whether it's, what are those Siamese twins? It is just so hard. I think for me, the fact that I have one older than the other by almost 2 years sort of helps because then you're able to navigate how you're going to love, how much love to give one and attention versus how much love and attention you give the other. Because love to children isn't how we feel love for adults. Love to children is fun. So for them, the person who plays with me the most is the person I love because they're fun and they speak my language and my language is getting dirty in the mud and playing with dogs and being jumped on and splashing water. And that's for a toddler. For a baby, love is the person who feeds them, the person who carries them, the person who they see the most, changes their diaper. So love is expressed at this age with how much attention you give them. And I could be wrong, but this is just what I've seen. It is so hard to love children equally. And it's just, I always say it's like family members, right? You love your dad, you love your mom, but you don't love them equally.
That's true.
You love your siblings, but you don't love them equally. The best example I like to give is of friends. Yeah. So you have a wide group of friends, male and female. So let's take your male friends, for example, because maybe you have deeper connection with your male friends than your female friends. This is just an example. So there's Peter and there's Andrew. So Peter and Andrew come from separate families, separate backgrounds. You met them in different schools, but they have similar traits, very similar traits. You know, there's John and there's David, but John and David are for fun. But when you want to have really deep, meaningful conversations, you go to Peter and Andrew. Yeah. You love them, whether it's bromance or whatever, you love them, right? But the way you love them will never be equal, yet they have similar traits. Yeah. That's how it is loving kids. So when your parents tell you we love you equally, it's just that you don't feel bad, but it's cap. It's cap because, and kids can see it. And I think this is where sibling rivalry truly, honestly stems from. It stems from how we treat our kids and how much love we give them, how much attention we give them, what they hear adults say, what they hear we say as parents, how we talk to each other, how we talk to them, how we talk to other adults about them. So that's been really, really surprising. Like loving equally. Yeah.
Now that you know all of that, how are you planning to, deal with that? Because like what you said is what they hear, what they go through. Yeah. How do you plan to navigate some of those challenges? Because they are real challenges. yes, for us, our parents tried to treat us equally or tell us that thing for, you know what, but
Yeah.
you could always see it or you could always feel it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm gonna give you a real story.
Yes.
That happened to me.
Yeah.
When I was pregnant with my second born, with my daughter.
Yeah.
A lot of people were like, when you take the baby home, there's gonna be a lot of sibling rivalry.
Yeah.
He's gonna be jealous. He's gonna beat her. He's gonna do what? And I really sat with myself, and I also sat with my partner, and I'm just like, how is it that everyone is saying the same thing, and there's no one who has a different story to tell?
Yeah.
You'll never hear anyone give you advice on, oh, when you go home, the kids will be loving, the kids will be this, they'll be that. Or, as an elder brother or an elder sister, they want to show affection and whatnot. And I think it was my son's doctor who happens to be my receiving. So my mom's receiving doctor, the doctor that received me is now my child's pediatrician. That just says how young I gave birth.
Yeah.
But I was sitting with him. Actually, it was the three of us: my son, my partner, and I.
Yeah.
And I think one day I was just like, look, we keep on hearing this, and I've reached a point in my life where I want to be able to, find a way for that not to happen. I don't want him to beat her. I don't want him to be jealous of her because yes, I don't love them the same, but I love them.
Yeah.
I love them both. And he was just like, just simply don't change his routine. So I was like, oh. He was like, yeah, it's that simple. Kids get jealous, especially when they're younger, when attention has been shifted from them to something or someone else.
Yeah.
And that attention switch is 0 to 100 real quick. He was just like, as long as you keep his routine the same, I bet you that will not happen. So I remember going home, I must have been, because my tummy was showing at this time, I must have been like 5 months, 5 months, because tummies show sooner when with your second borns. And I sat down with my partner and we came up with a plan. So we came up with this routine for my son. Wake up in the morning, sees the nanny, does XYZ with the nanny, and then in the afternoon spends time with my partner and has limited amount of time with me in snippets. So what would happen is he'd be spending time with the nanny, then I'd go and pick him up, but I'd drop him back with the nanny. He'd be spending time with my partner, then I'd pick him up, but then I'd drop him back with my partner. So I was still maintaining that relationship with him, but his routine evolved majorly around his nanny and my partner.
Yeah.
Because we knew that when I give birth, whether it was natural or C-section, we didn't know at the time, but we knew that I might not be able to give him as much attention as I would naturally want to, because I'd be breastfeeding and doing all these things, trying to recover. So that's what we did. On the day I gave birth, I made sure that the nanny stuck to his routine. So my partner would go home often. So he spent, I think, the first night in the hospital. But what he would do is when my mom came over, he would go home. Because you see, my son's routine can't change. So for that afternoon section, he still has to be there.
Yeah.
Then he'd come and join us now in the evening for the night. And we did that all through till I went back home. When I went back home and I came back with this new person.
Yeah.
Because it's not just a baby, it's a person.
Yeah.
And I came back with this new person into the house, explaining to my son that this person, this baby, is fragile, was so hard. Because he doesn't understand the word fragile. He doesn't understand be careful. He was one.
Yeah.
So they don't understand words the way we say them, but they understand feeling and action. So the next day, his routine never changed, even though we had a baby. So he woke up in the morning, spent time with his nanny. When I would come out of the bedroom, I would go and pick him up. When I'm picking him up, the nanny is with the baby. Then I'd go drop back my son. I'd pick up the baby. In the afternoon, he'd be with my partner. Then I'd go pick him up, play with him. As that's happening, my partner is with the baby. So it didn't change his routine much. And to be very honest, I haven't seen any jealousy from him. He doesn't hit her out of attention. I can count the number of times he's done that. And maybe the first time was when I was breastfeeding her and it was the three of us at home alone. Rightfully so, because I'm giving her all the attention and I'm not giving him any. So to get my attention, he's gonna hit it. And that's why kids hit laptops. You'll be working on your laptop, pop, they shut it. You'll be on your phone, you'll be on the phone, they grab it and they throw it, right? So it's whatever is taking your attention, they want to remove that so that you focus on them.
Yeah.
So I remember that was the one time I can visibly remember doing that. And even after that, I remember putting her to burp and holding him here because I'm like, I love the both of you, but you're at such different stages of life. And when Tupac, when we're young, the different stages of life are apparent. One is walking, one is not. One is talking, one is not. One is eating solid foods, one is not. Like the line is so, like it's such a thick line that you can cut through with a pair of scissors. But when you grow older, like now me and you, we both talk, we walk. I mean, normally. So it's one of those things where just try and stop sibling rivalry and jealousy, and we're very intentional about the things we say. So I'll never tell my son, Lenora, who's my daughter, Lenora is going to eat your food.
Yeah.
Because she can't.
Yeah.
And by telling him that, I'm going to be pitting them against each other. But I want you to eat. I want you to eat your food. Because if you don't eat your food, then you're not going to be strong. And in order for your body to grow, you need to eat.
Yeah.
So I'll use simple things. I'll be like, do you want to grow tall? It's like, yes. I'm like, then you have to eat to grow tall. But I'll never tell him, if you don't eat your food, I'm going to give it to Lenora.
Yeah.
She cannot even, she didn't have teeth.
Yes.
She just started saying dada.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's one of those things, like it's just being super conscious of of our actions. Because right now, the phrase action speaks louder than words. For kids, it's so like, it's one of those sayings that is so true for them.
Mm-hmm.
So true. Because you'll ask, your kid will not want to go to school. He's 2 years less. You'll ask him, why don't you want to go to school? Why don't you want to go to school? He's just going to be like, I want to go and see the crane. I want to watch Bluey. He's not going to give you an answer. He just knows, I have a feeling, and the feeling is that I don't want to go to school, but I don't have the words to describe it. I know what you're asking me, but in my head, what you're asking me is translating to, you don't want to go to school, what else do you want to do? You know? Mm-hmm. So it's just like the little stuff like that. So being conscious of how we act and how we talk and how we treat the both of them. And again, to date, my son's routine hasn't changed. In fact, the only thing that has changed is that now he goes to playgroup.
Yeah.
That's it. Mm. When he comes home, still plays with his dad. But then now, the only thing is that I'm now actively playing with him because I'm better off. Not completely healed, but I'm better off. Yeah.
You've actually said something very interesting. You said actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
Raising your children, is there like a concrete example that has really actually shown you like, wow, actions actually here speak louder than words? Because, I think it's something that we keep hearing. Yeah. Actions speak louder than words. Actions speak louder than words. And yes, even as adults, we have a few examples like that. Yeah. But like for you, because I think that's something interesting. I've never thought about it like that. Yeah. You've really brought it up. Is there something?
Yeah, definitely. I'll give you another example.
Yes.
Me and examples will be the me and examples will be with me today. So when I gave birth, mm-hmm. I got a C-section. Yeah. And with a C-section, you can walk, but you can't really walk. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you can walk. You can move, but you can't really move. Yeah. So like how you take a normal step, kind of just like shuffling through the, Yeah. Especially when you go home. And when you have a toddler who is as active as my son, because a saying I really do believe is that the firstborns look like the dad, mm-hmm. but they have their mother's personality. And my son has my personality.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, because the secondborns, mm-hmm. they either look like the mom, but have the father's personality. But with firstborns...
I'm really thinking about it in terms of my family, but sorry, continue. Yeah.
Is it true?
I don't know actually though, but it's crazy, yeah. Like, yeah. I think, when you... There's some truth in it.
Yeah, a little bit. But for me, my son looks exactly like my partner, copy and paste. I was literally a machine put there to be told, hapa sasa tuta Control X, alafu, Control V.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
So when I came home and I was doing that shuffling thing, and my son has a lot of energy, so he'll come to me, Mom, remember we've been shouting, we've been singing.
Yeah.
I wake up in the morning, I'm like, good morning,
Yeah.
everybody. So this one day, I came out of bed and I was in so much pain. So I was going to get my painkillers. And I'd been telling my son, oh, I can't walk, I can't do this, I can't do that. But he didn't understand what I was saying.
Yeah.
But this day I was in so much pain, Tupac, and I think my partner had gone to the gym.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't call him, and I needed help with the baby. So the nanny was with the baby. So it was a hectic morning.
Yeah.
And I remember my son, I opened the door and I'm walking towards the kitchen. And he runs to me and he grabs my hand. And you know how you grab your parent's hand and you're like, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Yeah.
And he's walking really fast. And I'm just like, and I remember him turning because I couldn't walk.
Yeah.
He turned, he looked at my feet, he looked at my hand, he looked into my eyes, or rather he looked up at me.
Yeah.
Then he looked at my stomach again and he said, Mommy, not walking? And I'm like, yeah, honey, I'm in pain. Mommy can't walk, And he let go of my hand and he continued doing what he wanted. And ever since that time, whenever he would see me holding my stomach or just like holding the walls and struggling to walk in the house, he would look at my feet, look at my stomach, look at me, look back at my hands. I mean, yeah, my hand because it was on my stomach. And he'd just be like, Mommy, not walk. Yeah, I can't walk. But to him, I think that was one of the most profound moments of actions speak louder than words. Yeah. Because I had been telling him, I can't do this. I'm in pain. I can't play.
But he's not understanding.
He's not understanding. He's like, what do you mean you can't play? But see, yesterday before you went to hospital, before you disappeared for 4 days, you were playing with me. Now you've come back after 4 days and now you can't walk. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Mama? So that was really a profound moment for me. And that's also when I realized that my son has empathy. Because empathy is taught. We are not born with it. It is one of those things where if you're not taught how to be empathetic when you're young, you'll never be. You can through therapy, but it'll be very hard for you to be empathetic later. And for me, that was a really, really, because that's something that I've always worried about. I've always wanted my kids to be empathetic. And just knowing that it's something that we are not born with. Because, to be honest, we're not born with a lot.
Yeah, no, it's true.
We're really not born with a lot. Like, even when we breathe, like all our bodily functions, you can imagine how strenuous it is that first day of life, out of the womb. So that for me cleared a fear that I'd been having for years, even before birth. I'd seen it in other people's children. I was just like, gosh, I pray my kids have empathy. I don't know how to teach it. Yeah. I might not even be the best of what I'm doing, but that moment gave me hope. Yeah. Because I was like, okay, so not only do actions speak louder than words, which is a lesson that we've adopted to date, but also they have empathy and we can teach it in the things that we do, in the actions that we portray. So it's been, very profound moment for me.
No, I think that lesson of empathy and being empathetic is such a powerful moment. Yeah. When you look at it, what other defining moment have you had in motherhood?
I've learned patience.
Okay,
Yeah, I've learned patience.
Yeah.
Tupac, the amount of patience you need to be able to tell a child not to do something 21 times a day is out of this world, guys. Like, I can't even explain it. The number of times I've sat down, and it's so funny because yesterday I was watching a video on gentle parenting. Yeah. And it's this video where the husbands are like, when the child does something, he picks up his phone and starts recording and tells the mom, say it gently. Like, please put that down. Please put that down. Please put the glass down. Please. Yeah. Please put it down. And kids, when you talk to them like that, they're just like, come on, I'm not going to put it down. Yeah. But when you're like, put the goddamn glass down, they're like, yeah, but that's inflicting fear. Yeah. Because you can imagine they're not used to you raising your voice like that. I think one of the things that has taught me, hey, patience is just repetition. How many times you're going to have to repeat something? Please tell me you resonate, because I'm sure your parents have repeated things to you so many times.
I know, even till today, my dad is telling me the same things. I'm not listening.
And you're not listening?
I'm not listening.
Yeah, so every time my mom tells me something today, and I'm just like, I don't feel like doing this.
Yeah.
I really don't feel like doing this. I have to think about myself telling my kids. And I'm just like, damn, that's how they feel.
That's how the motivation comes, yeah.
The apple does not fall far from the tree, Tupac. It doesn't. And sometimes you get irritated saying things many times.
Yeah.
And so, like, when I sit down and I look at my parents, I'm just like, yeah, I really tortured these people, because what the hell was I doing in school being such a nuisance? You know, like they're telling me, don't do this, don't do that. I'm just like, but I want to do it. I want to do it now. I don't want to do it.
Oh my God. And you know, they say that your kids will be probably 10 times worse than you.
I don't doubt it, because I don't doubt it. Yeah, definitely repetition, how to be kind.
Yeah.
They taught me how to be kind, how to use my words better, how to explain things better. And I think I've become a really good teacher because of them. I've not only become a good teacher to them, but I've become a good teacher in general. So I find that now I find it easier to relate complexities to people simply because of them. So yeah, but those are the two apparent things I can tell you today. Even just looking at you, I'm just like, let me tell you, kids will drive you crazy. But it's all for a good cause, and it never ends. I look at my dad and his mom, and I'm just like, my dad has grandchildren, my grandmother has great grandchildren, but her son is driving her insane. It doesn't end.
It doesn't end, yeah.
It doesn't end. So it's just one of those things. Yeah.
No, I think that's interesting, you know, that you say that. And another interesting aspect you've brought into the topic is your parents. And how do you think your parents' parenting style has influenced your parenting style?
Yeah, my mom used to beat my ass. Mommy, if you're watching this, I love you, but that was torture. I was whooped.
Yeah.
Like there was no tomorrow.
Yeah.
More than my brother.
Wow.
And I love my brother, but my mom was definitely a disciplinarian.
Mm-hmm.
Also because my personality was, I still do have a very strong personality. I still really do stand for what I believe in.
Yeah.
So I will always argue it out. But let me tell you, the way I was beaten, Tupac, those belt sizes were not a joke. And people see my mom today and, you know, she's so nice.
No, your mom's nice.
Invite them to my house, make for you food. But behind closed doors...
They don't know what's gone.
Yeah, so one thing for sure is that the disciplinarian part of my mom has definitely rubbed off on me to some extent. I really have to have... I don't beat my children, but I do have conversations with mothers about how I'm gonna whoop these kids when I go home. You know, like my son will be testing my patience. Like last week on Sunday, I told him, let's go shower. And he was like, no, I don't want to shower. Boy, the guy bit my neck. I was carrying him and he chewed my neck, like literally munching on it.
Yeah.
In my life, that was the first time I ever just gave like and I felt so bad. I felt so bad, but at the same time, I was in so much. I had a whole hickey, not from my partner, from my child. And it was a hot day, so I couldn't wear a scarf. I'm walking around Village Market or wherever it was I was going. Guys are looking at me like, hey, this chick has had a fun night. I was like, guys, if only you knew what I was going through in the morning.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where like, spare the rod, spoil the child.
Yeah.
It's so true. Like in that moment, I needed to, because you have to go and shower. What do you mean you don't shower? I even told him, like, in this house, we shower.
Yeah.
In this house, we shower twice a day. We shower in the morning and we shower in the evening.
Yeah.
So you're trying to tell me you don't want to shower, and me, I'm trying to leave the house with you.
Yeah.
Looking cute.
Yeah.
I even removed his outfit the night before.
Yeah.
So he, you can look, handsome, and we can look like fly. I want to look like a young, cool parent.
Yeah.
This guy tells me that he doesn't want to shower. He's biting my neck. Yo,
Yeah, just
I was just like, called my mom immediately. Mommy, I've been beaten. First, she was so shocked. She's like, he beat you at my neck. Oh. Then I was just like, what do I do? I hit him and like I smacked his bum, and gosh, hit him sounds so aggressive.
Yeah.
But like I smacked his bum just, I think Tupac, it was not hard.
Yeah.
Because I was, I just, because of how I was bitten,
Yeah.
I can't. Like, I was just like, don't do that again.
yeah.
Half in tears.
Yeah.
I was in so much pain. And I remember he just looked at me and he smacked.
Yeah.
He smacked. He was just like, Anyway, so from my mom, I definitely get the disciplinarian personality.
Yeah.
I'm very strict. I keep rules. Like, rules need to be followed.
Yeah.
Very little wiggle room for rules to be broken when I'm around. But when he's with my partner, oh my God, this boy, anything he wants, he gets.
Yeah.
Anything he wants. They leave the house, he comes back with a toy. After we've had the talk, no more buying toys, okay?
Yeah.
And my partner is like, yeah, I promise I won't buy toys. Next 5 minutes later, comes into the house, a huge ass crane. I'm like, what happened? He went to the aisle, and because I didn't want him to cry, I just bought the toy. It's just like, we need to be on the same page. So from my mom, I get the discipline side. From my dad, I get how to teach. My dad is a very patient teacher.
Yeah.
He's the type of person who, if I don't understand how 1 + 1 = 2, he will sit down and explain to me, this is why 1 + 1 = 2. I'll be like, okay, but I understand this. I understand one and one thing separately, but putting them together, just like, how does 2 work? Because that's the stage my kids are about to reach, right?
Yeah.
So from him, I've learned how to teach them. I learned how to teach them how to cycle. I learned how to teach them to conquer their fears. If they want to sadly touch lizards, I'll be the one to be like, okay, let's go touch that lizard. even though I'm just like, eek. If they want to, see a slug or a snail and they've never seen it before, I'm the one who's going to be like, okay,
Yeah.
I don't like these things, but let me. So from him, I got that. Yeah.
No, the other thing, the other day I was looking at something and I was seeing it's a lot of us people that teach kids all these things that they don't have. You see, exactly what you said. Like empathy, you're not born with it, you learn it. Fear as well, yes? Mm-hmm. Because you'll see a kid going to put, I have a niece. She comes all the time to the house. Yeah. Yeah? Mm-hmm. I don't know how old she is, but she's very young. And she keeps on pulling the dog's tail. How she's not understanding the repercussion of it, yeah? And even when the dog turns around and barks, like, she's not scared.
She's just like, what's up?
What's up? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's us to say, no, don't do that. Yeah. And then now you have to lock the dog, and then now she's wondering where the dog has been locked, and all those things, yeah? But now, being a mother, how do you think how do you look at yourself now? And has being a mother changed how you look at the world?
100,000%.
Yes.
Tupac, perspective?
Yeah.
Perspective?
Yes.
Don't downplay it.
Yeah.
Never downplay the power of perspective, because perspective can make something you want to do so easily that is so hard to someone else look like the most unfathomable thing ever.
Yeah.
There are people who save up to go to art cafe.
Yeah.
Art cafe,
Yeah.
which is near your place.
Yeah.
Which, let's say for you, is a walk down the road. You want to go have a coffee, maybe go have a sandwich.
Yeah.
There are people who, for just that simple sandwich, have to save for days. And I feel that perspective is one of those things that now makes me see and view the world very differently.
Yeah.
I've never been the competitive type, so I don't compare myself to other people.
Yes.
But when you get kids, Tupac, the war that is parenting, and manipulation and just peer pressure is astronomical.
Yeah.
And so I feel that because of being able to perceive things differently, I have not had many circumstances where I felt peer pressure. You know, like, I'll give you a random example. My son started walking when he was 8 months.
Yeah.
That's really young.
Yeah.
That's very young. Tupac, most kids don't start walking at 8 months. That's really, really young. And he could walk, but he couldn't stand and he couldn't crawl. So if he wants to walk, he'll be like, yeah. So you put him to stand and he'll run and walk and run and walk. But if he falls,
Yeah.
he didn't know how to stand up and he did not crawl.
Yeah.
And I remember, I can't even remember where it was we were, and this lady comes with her son and is like, how is your son walking? And we were like, well, we started training him how to walk and he was 2 weeks old.
Yeah.
My daughter the same, but because my daughter was so small, she didn't pick it up that fast, but she started picking it up now, and she's 7 months, which means a month from now, my son was walking.
Yeah.
My daughter can barely stand
Yeah.
by herself, but my son, by 6 months, 6.5 months, was standing by himself. 1, 2, 3 seconds, and then he would fall.
Yeah.
But that's because we were training him to do these things. But when we met that mother, and she turned it into a competition between my son and her son, I was like, one day I sat down with her and I'm like, look, there's so many ways you can think of this. It's not when your son is going to walk. It's not how you're going to make your son walk. It's what is he doing now that you can encourage him that will make him walk tomorrow. Is he crawling? That's great. Can he stand? He can't stand? Okay, then maybe the first step is to train him how to stand. Because he's crawling, the next step is standing. There's things you can do to make your child get to where they want to get without having to feel that it is a competition, because it's not a competition.
No.
It's never going to be a competition. I don't see... My son started talking later than one of his friends. And I remember someone they're close to would always ask us, so has your son started talking? No? Oh, our daughter can talk, can say hi, can have a conversation.
Yeah.
I'm like, but he's 1. What? And kids progress differently. So just being able to look at things from different perspectives has really, really helped me sober in situations where you'd naturally feel that you need to, level up, show these guys that, hey, but me, I can do it. Oh, but I can do this. Oh, but da-da-da-da-da. But it's not like that, because, my son started walking at 8 months, but he didn't talk.
Yeah.
He started talking when he was, 1.5?
Yeah.
And that's fine, because there's some kids who start talking at 3 years. There's some kids who start talking at 2 years. But it's fine, because kids progress differently. And once you remember that, and remember that it is not a competition with anyone, the only competition you have is honestly with yourself, but you just want the best for your child, then it becomes easier. But perspective, peer pressure, the peer pressure to make your kids look like other kids, or the peer pressure to portray your kids as these, kids who come from good families and what, it is just so much. You think teenage peer pressure is bad?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me tell you the pressure we were giving our parents at Daddy, this guy has Nikes from where?
Yeah.
Hata mimi nataka hizo Nikes.
Yeah.
Helelelelele. That you go to sleep, you want to give your child the best.
Yeah.
But you also are not capable of doing that. And you should not punish yourself for that. You should not punish yourself because you have a dream of where you want to go. And here's your child telling you that dream that you're planning to get in 10 years, we want it tomorrow. It's not realistic. It's not possible. So I would say those are the two things that today have made me either look at the world differently.
Yeah.
Because, man, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there. And you really, really have to be introspective at some point and just tell yourself, I'm not going to fall into peer pressure. I'm always going to look at things differently, you know, or even just how many sides of the coin? There are only two sides of the coin, but from those two sides of the coin, each person has their own way of telling a story. Me and you could get into a fight today.
Yeah.
There are 4 ways those stories can go. Because you can tell it in 2 ways, I can tell it in 2 ways. We've told 2 people. Imagine that's 8. Right?
Yeah.
And that's how rumors start.
Yeah.
Perspective. It's just how you're able to see things differently and then learn from how you see those things differently, because it also helps you navigate the complexities of parenthood. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, or what are you telling those parents that seem to be those competitive parents? Because I know parents take pride in children, and probably that's the greatest thing that they do. And that's why they tell you your wedding is not yours, your graduation is not yours, it's for your parent, you know. But I think at that point, it's okay to have that level of competition, and a healthy amount of competition is fine. But like at this young age, especially for someone who's come into a new section of their life that they've had nothing about, what are you telling someone like that, you know?
2 things. When your child is born,
Yeah.
neither you or your partner know them. So this person, this child, is growing up and you're learning about them.
Yeah.
And they're learning about you.
Yeah.
So firstly, don't force your ideologies onto your child. That's number 1. Because they're not born with any ideologies. They're not born with anything. They're virgin. They're canvases. They're white canvases that now we put in biases and we put in all these things in them. We do that. Then the world does it next. You are born with your own personality. I am born with my own personality. My kids are born with their own personalities. Can you imagine if today I told my partner, but no, when my son was born, he's called Liam. When Liam was born, this is what we used to do for Liam, and it worked for Liam. But who said it would work for my daughter? We don't know her. The version of my daughter we know today is the 7-month version of my daughter we know today.
Yeah.
Who will change in another 7 months, because she'll be 1 year and 2 months,
Yeah.
right? So first things first, remember, none of you know this person. Your ways are not better than mine, because you're coming with what you've been taught by your mom, by your family, by your experiences. That does not mean that this child will accept those, whether it's physical, because accept those experiences. So an example would be of a physical experience that you could give your child is just body oils. So you come from a family where you've used Aramis. Aramis has worked for you and your family, and you swear by it. Oh, Aramis, smooth skin, whatnot.
Yeah.
So you tell your partner, this La Roche-Posay thing that you've been putting on our daughter is not working. Because every time you put this La Roche-Posay thing, she gets a breakout.
Yeah.
Let me, I've been telling you we should have put Aramis.
Yeah.
But then you put Aramis and then her skin gets burnt.
Yeah.
So what happens next? Who'd you blame? Are you seeing how fights start within couples?
Yeah.
When a fight starts, do you know we take it out indirectly on the kids?
Well.
So always, always remember, when you get a child, this child is not known to you or your partner. You are learning the child like you would learn a friend. So you meet Tupac today. You don't know who Tupac is. Hey, but all you know is that Tupac is a cool guy. And you've gotten his number. And you've gotten his number. And you just have this, man, this guy is so cool. But I text him today. I text him tomorrow. I text him the next day. And that's how friends are made, right?
Yeah.
And that's how you get to know people, because the more time you spend with them, the better you get to know them. But people also change.
Yeah.
So that's how kids are. The more you get to spend with them, the better you get to know them. But then at some point they change, right? Yeah. So the first one I would say is definitely assume that you know nothing about any of your children, and that whatever you use for child number 3 will never work on child number 4. That is just new. Always seek professional advice. Always, even when you think that you know, or you think that you have the medicines. Oh, my son has an eye infection. Nani used to have it. Remember 2 years ago, she used to have it. Ebu, go and get that medicine. My friend, you'll have contributed to blindness in one way or another,
Yeah.
because it's not all things that it's not always as it seems.
Yeah.
And the second thing I would say is basically, I've forgotten the question. What was the
I
question?
was saying, what are you telling
Parents,
parents,
yeah?
especially
New
those
parents.
like competitive ones, like, oh,
Yeah.
my child can walk, oh, my child can run, whatever.
Yeah. So the
Because I
first,
feel like it can
yeah.
be a bit distractive to, another parent who might not be progressing like that. But like you said, everyone is different,
Yeah.
Even in school, everyone is different.
Yeah. So so the first thing is, every child is different.
Yeah.
Know your child.
Yes.
The second thing is, take your time.
Yeah.
Trust your guts.
The process works, huh?
The process works. Whatever you feel, if you're like, I've seen other kids, and other kids are supposed to be doing this, but my child isn't doing it. Don't put it in your head that your child should be doing it at that moment. Trust the process. Trust the process. I feel like in life, these sayings that we usually get, like we just throw them all over the place,
Yeah.
but they actually have meaning. Like, trust the process. You know your child best. You know where you are best. If you cannot afford a trip of 1 million Kenya shillings tomorrow, then it's fine. Because you know what? When you plan for it, in 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 months, I will be able to afford that trip for 1 million. And teach your child that. Teach your child, oh, so Nani has the latest Nikes. Oh, that's nice. You would like the latest Nikes? Yeah, but I can't afford them today.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'll be able to afford them when we plan for them.
Yeah.
When would you like them? I can be able to save this much. Or if you work in the house, if you do chores and you're able to save 1,000, I'll top up. Just stuff like that. Don't make it, because depression comes from peer pressure. Comparison, peer pressure. Because peer pressure comes,
From comparison.
from comparison in this case. So you really have to trust the process. You really have to, whenever you have a gut feeling about something, just trust in your gut feeling, because this is your child. No one will know your child better than you, especially if you spend a lot of time with your child. You will know your child best. So trust the process. Take it easy. I always say the norm is that children will be born okay. The norm is that children will speak between a certain age group. The norm is that your child will grow a certain way. That's the norm. But if you feel that those things that people think are normal is not applicable for your child in one way or another, how they understand concepts, do they respond to your name? Something as simple as just responding to your name, Tupac, and you turn. Tupac, and you turn. Something as simple as that. Those are things that you'll be able to pick up, because if you call their name and they're not turning, then you'll be like, that's odd. Whatever it is you pick it up early. Always ask. Do not be afraid to ask, because sometimes comparisons are one of those things where we feel because Mutua went to Brook House, his parents, he's been able to do that. Let me tell you perspective. If you look behind, Mutua has all these things going on for him. Maybe his parents saved 10 years before to be able to afford what he has today, what they have today. So it's one of those things where we just trust the process, take it easy, know your child, and take it easy. If you want to accomplish something, don't stress yourself, just plan for it. Yeah, just plan for it. I feel like I've said many things.
I think just to add it,
Yeah.
one of the things we normally see a lot is, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so avoid comparing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you've talked also about some principles that you'd like to instill in your kids, just like the one for learning to work about something, learning patience.
Yeah.
What other principles would you like to instill?
Kindness.
Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah.
Love of family, or family first values.
Yeah.
How to be a good spender of money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. because this life it's for the living, but it's hard. I don't want to raise brats. I want them to understand the value of things. So to just be cognizant of the spaces that they're in, the people that are in those spaces, and how much to contribute. Because sometimes saying nothing is more valuable than saying a lot of things, right? So kindness, respect is something that for me beats all else. Respect is one of those things where you're a golfer, right?
Yeah.
So let me give you an example of respect. There's this janitor who used to work at a gym in Westlands. And one of the people who used to go to those gyms is a well-renowned golfer. And he used to see this janitor, and him and that janitor, you know how you just say hi in the morning, they became boys. Oh, what are you doing today? Oh, I'm working on this muscle, working on this muscle. And then one day, this guy was like, I'm looking for a caddy. Could you come and be my caddy? So the janitor was like, yeah, sure, let me come and be your caddy. That guy enjoyed it so much, just being a caddy, that he asked this gymmer, this golfer, can I please come and just, be joining you? The guy was like, yeah, I mean, sure, you can join me.
Yeah.
As he started joining him, he asked, is it possible for you to teach me? This golfer taught him. He was like, is it possible for me to enter a competition? The golfer was like, yeah, let me enroll you into a competition. Has now become one of the best golfers in the country.
Wow.
Has gone for so many competitions. Do you know what he does today? He's still a janitor. So just respecting the people that he has never stopped being a janitor. He still cleans gym equipment. He still goes, he cleans the floors, he cleans the the bathrooms, the whatnot. He still does all that. Yeah. But every Saturday, he'll be on this competition, that competition, and the man makes money. You enter that gym and think that this janitor is just some other guy, right?
Yeah.
But he's so well connected. What I want for my children is to be able to respect people in that they enter spaces without judging them, without judging who they meet, being respectful of whatever career it is you've chosen, because you never know what or who you will meet in the future. That janitor might be my dad, someone who might be the president one day. You never know. So just being able to respect people in spaces, and just the value of family, because I really cherish family. I cherish my family. I cherish my in-laws a lot. Just being able to give them those, those values, kindness, because you can never get enough kindness.
Oh, yeah.
You can never be kind enough.
That's true.
But just also valuing themselves and knowing who they are. Yeah, so those three principles, kindness, respect, and value of family. Yeah.
And it also mentioned empathy.
And empathy, yes. Yeah. And empathy, yeah.
Okay. And I think as we also wrap up, for sure, we'll definitely have you here to come again.
Is this you pitching for a part 2?
I know, yes. I know you'd have loved to speak about something, but we will definitely plan to shoot a part 2.
No problem.
But I just want to also ask you, how do you balance between being a young mother, motherhood, career, and also I'm sure you do other things with your life,
Yeah. So I'm really into fitness.
Yeah.
So that's one of the other things that I do in my life.
Yes.
And my days are packed, but I've just come out of a slump.
Yeah.
I remember I never had any time for my kids. Unfortunately, before I gave birth, I didn't have a lot of time for my son.
Yeah.
And that would kill me because, before you go for any sort of leave, you're being worked. And it was definitely one of the things that I wanted to change, because I felt like I wasn't being close to him.
Yeah.
So what I have decided to do is, when 5:30 p.m. reaches, I've clocked out for the day. It is me and my kids, me and my partner, me and whatever.
Yeah.
Because from 5:30, I only have 3 hours before, actually 2.5 hours before they go to sleep.
Yeah.
So I will play with them. I will do whatever it is. I will be very intentional about that. I will be in their faces.
Yeah.
Like, Mommy's home, watch Tong Bell. What are we doing today?
Yeah.
And then in the mornings, I will go either to the gym or to play tennis. I do that from 6:30 to 7, and then I have my work day. I make sure I have a lunch break for 1 hour. Even though I'm a consultant, I have to have a lunch break for 1 hour.
Yeah.
In that lunch break, I'm eating, I'm reading my book, I'm discovering new music, whether it is Urdu from Pakistan or whether it is music from Australia. That is the hour that I take to spend all those things. And then for all the other work that I need to catch up on, I do it when everyone has slept. Okay. Yeah, so I'm most probably always the last person to sleep in the house.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything you think that I missed to ask you around motherhood and parenting. Or, let me start there. Because there's nothing you can ask me about that, honestly.
I know. The thing is that there's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
When it comes to parenthood.
Yeah.
But I'm also still so young.
Yes.
Some would say I'm a baby.
Yeah.
Of course, some have kids who are in their 80s and their parents are like 100. So these guys must see me like a newbie.
Yeah.
But I do promise you that as time goes by and I gain more knowledge, I will be back here to share all I can about parenthood.
I think there's also a second part of this conversation that we were meant to have, which I will plan for us to have soon.
Yeah.
So it continues. But I'd also like to thank you so much for taking your time to grace this podcast. Thank you so much for, leaving your kids at home on a weekend, which you could have played with them. Yeah. To come here and, speak to us and, teach us and the audience lessons around, parenting.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any last words for the audience.
Be kind to yourself.
Okay, wow.
Mothers and fathers.
Yes.
Be kind to yourself.
Actually, everyone should be kind to themselves.
Everyone should be kind to themselves. Yeah. Everybody, actually. Be kind to yourself because you only have one life to live. Yeah. And my motto is usually, you only have one life to live, you better try it once because there's no other way you'll find out. So always try something once, but just be kind to yourself because life can be unforgiving. Yeah. But we can forgive ourselves. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much for that.
Thanks, Tupac.
Yes. For those of you listening from home, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of the Just to Kick It Is a Blessing podcast. Remember, no matter where you are, no matter what you're going through, just to kick it is a blessing. Goodbye and see you next week.